Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's Timothy here. We're doing something a little bit different today. I wanted to go ahead and jump into one of these flashback queues for Odyssey, Triple Odyssey, instead of Hour of Devastation today. So I hope this is enjoyable. My ignorance is definitely going to show here because I definitely don't know the set perfectly. I've done a couple test drafts just to get a feel for it, and what I see here is that you'll notice this is a much older set from a time when Magic sets weren't designed like Hour of Devastation. You're going to see a lot of very unplayable cards. You're going to see a huge spike between the best cards and just your average playables. Like there are absolutely unbeatable bombs, and then the rest of your deck is going to be pretty crappy cards. This is also a very tricky synergy set where you're kind of fighting for there's what is it, threshold in this set, and then there's also a lot of stuff that uses your graveyard as a tool, and you kind of have to combine those together. So you'll see right off the bat that I'm not too huge on discard a card to return this to your hand. That's a big enough dude that I'm willing to take it early. I forgot what I was just saying, but yeah, you'll see a lot of tension between things. You'll notice there are a lot of threshold things that are a lot better. Like, this is probably a pretty decent card in this set. Flying Evasion is really good, and then once you get threshold, it starts actually beating down very heavily, so if you can build around it, it's pretty good. I don't know how good Amugaba is, but I know the removal is pretty weak, and this card can definitely close out a game. Even Wind Reader I know is a good card. This would be good by today's standards, at least for an average playable. And Gravedigger is good by today's standards. Case in point, Amonkhet, where it's actually good. Animal Boneyard, there are some combos you can do with this if you take your opponent's creatures, but I think blue is considered the best color in this set. I'm going to go and start off with just a big flyer. Puppeteer can tap or untap creatures. Careful Study. Dematerialize is fine, as is Peak. This hits creatures without flying. Peak is a perfect example of how to get Threshold. Same with Careful Study, even though I think Peak is probably better because Careful Study is card disadvantage. If I knew I wanted to go Threshold here, I would consider probably one of these two cards. And what this does is it gets a card into your graveyard and just cantrips you into the next card. So you're filling up your graveyard for your threshold cards. And you're getting closer to things. I don't think this is very good. There aren't a lot of lands in this set that are worth just untapping. I mean, it does kind of fix your mana for double colored cards, but there aren't too many of those. I'm going to go and take Dematerialize here, I think. I don't know how good Puppeteer is. It could be decent. You may tap or untap target creature. You know, a tapper is probably fine. It's actually probably pretty good. You don't get that in blue. Dematerialize is a decent card. Patchwork Gnomes is alright. Twigwalker is 3 mana 2/2 that you can sack to give 2 creatures +2/+2 until end of turn. You can see blue kind of getting cut right away because it is just significantly better than the rest of the colors. I kind of like Afflict. It gives a creature -1/-1 and you draw a card. There are a lot of 1 toughness creatures. Just look at this pack, like 1, 2, 3, 4 1 toughness creatures. Twigwalker might be better, but I'm not 100% sure here. This set is very light on removal too. It's possible I just want to take Rights of Refusal and stay on color as well and just signal to the person to my left, hey, you're not getting blue cards. Rights of Refusal's alright. Again, it works with an excess of cards here. I guess I'll just stay blue for now. What does Cephalid Shrine do? Whenever a player casts a spell, counter it unless they pay X, where X is the number of cards in all graveyards with the same name. Okay, well, we're kind of off of that. There's good old Psychotog here, which seems like a decent card. There's Balshan Griffin, 5 mana, 3 power flyer. You can discard a card to put it back in your hand. Probably decent. Like I said, these evasive creatures are pretty good. Phantom Whelp's kind of a callback to like how older colors didn't get good bears, like a 2 mana 2/2, but if it ever attacks or blocks and survives, it bounces back to your hand. Not a card I'm impressed with. Here I'm leaning towards old Psychopog, or what do they call this? Dr. Teeth. discard a card to give it +1, exile 2 cards from your graveyard to give it +1. So you can Voltron your opponent out of the game. I think I'll just stay on color and take another flyer. And then you see right away there's no blue here. This deals 1 damage to each flyer and each player. This is the green version of that card we passed. There's Gravedigger and Innocent Blood. Innocent Blood, I imagine, is much better when you are able to play the control game and keep your opponent off of smaller creatures, and then use this to kind of wrap up. It's also better if you have token generation. I'm kind of leaning towards Gravedigger here. It does look like black's fairly open, but then again, there's such a difference between the color spikes here. Like red seems almost wildly unplayable in this set. This card sucks. This card's okay, but you'll notice we'll take a look at them. But a lot of the red cards make you discard stuff at random for their effects, and that is not what I want to be doing. This only works against instants and sorceries. Here we've got a 1-power flyer that can sack lands to draw cards, so it's a good late game card. Primal Frenzy only gives trample. It's kind of not great. And then there's Words of Wisdom. So I do like Dark Water Egg. I like these sorts of effects that fill up your graveyard and fix your mana for you. And then we've also got just 2 solid cards here. I don't actually know which of these is better, and I'm leaning towards the Cephalid Scout because this draws my opponent a card. But it is 2 mana, draw 2 cards, which is pretty nice. Timberland Ruin. This is your primary mana fixin' in the set. The lands that come in tapped and add your color, but you can sack them to add 1, and they seem really bad, but they play out a little bit better than they would look. Spark Mage. Whenever it deals combat damage, you may have it deal 1 damage to a creature they control. That's so weird, though, as a 1-mana 1/1. How's it getting in there? Aven Cloud Chaser destroys an enchantment when it comes in. There's some pretty beastie enchantments in this set. We got another Cephalid Scout, which makes me wish I'd take the other one. And then we've got Zombify, which is just sorcery speed reanimation spell. I'm assuming by this being in the pack that it's not as good as I think it might be. But it is a good way to like discard like maybe one of our big flyers and then bring it back. And I'm not too excited about the second Cephalid Scout. They do nothing in multiples. And the body's not that great. Cephalid Wizard Scout. So we'll take Zombify, Crypt Creeper here. This is a good way to shut off some of your opponent's cards, take away their flashback cards, or kind of get them off threshold. It's alright too as a 2-power attacker for 2 mana. Last Rites is the black version of Rites of Refusal. You discard any number of cards, and your opponent has to discard that many cards, basically, but you can't choose land. So there's also this cycle of spheres. There are 5 of them that prevent damage from a specific colored source, and they're all in white. So white just gets 5 hate enchantments, which is really weird. You'll notice a lot of random protection too. Scrivener lets you get an instant from your graveyard back to your hand. It's the blue Anarchist. Whisper and Shade is alright as well. It looks really overpriced, but you can kind of steal a game against an opponent because it has Swamp Walk. And then there's also Dreamwinder, which is a 4/3 dude, but can't attack unless an opponent has an island. You can also sack an island to make a land an island. I kind of like this card. Seems like it hits pretty hard, and it's just naturally good against other blue decks. Spiritualize. Whenever you take damage, you gain that much life. Whenever target creature deals damage, you gain that much life. Draw a card. Not amazing. I kind of like Careful Study here. Notice we don't really have any payoffs for Threshold at the moment. This one prevents damage from a white source. And then there's just some other cards. Protection from black. Who knows? That might be relevant. You sack it to prevent damage from a black source. Just going to snipe one of these spheres. I guess we'll take Phantom Whelp. Psionic Gift is pretty crazy against certain decks. Maybe it's better than old Phantom Whelp here, but I'm not sure. I kind of like the bear, even if it's a little bit weak. Zombie Cannibal lets you eat a card from your opponent's graveyard. Oh, here's a little 2-power flyer. And then this one, you can discard a card and sack it to add triple black to your mana pool. Don't think we're going to play that. It seems bad. I don't really know that there's a lot of big things you want to ramp into. I guess it could let me technically play this on turn 4. This is going to be hard to deal with. I mean, there are cards to deal with it, specifically in black, but outside of that, if it doesn't get countered, it should dominate a game. Just a big late game flyer seems pretty good in this format. It is a slower format. Chance encounter, whenever you win a coin flip, put a luck counter on it. They're 10 or more. No, not today. It's not happening. Repel is decent. It just puts a permanent back on top, or a creature on top of its owner's library. Dirty Were-Rat is a card that has actually impressed me quite a bit in the way that it plays out. Human rat minion. It's a human rat? What the world? What the world? So, again, my ignorance showing here that I don't know which of these would be the better pick. Malevolent Awakening, probably not what I want for my deck. It's so mana intensive. It does work nicely with my Zombify, but maybe Dirty Were-Rat's what I want. Just another discard outlet, works with my Zombify, works nicely with Gravedigger, stuff like that. So kind of leaning towards this, but we don't want to leave ourselves dead in the water. We do want to make sure we have some amount of removal, so maybe I just want Repel, actually. Execute. Destroy target white creature. It can't be regenerated. Draw a card. Well, Blazing Salvo. Basically 1 mana, deal 5 to your opponent, which sounds great, right? Patriarch's Desire is a card that... Ooh, Firebolt's in this set. I didn't know that. Firebolt is very strong. But splashing is not something you should strive for here, I don't think. Patriarch's Desire is pretty sweet. It can pick off 2 toughness creatures, and then if you have Threshold, it can pick off 4 toughness creatures. So decent little removal spell there. It can also pump your creatures if they're big enough. Like, I can give this +2/+1, but you got to be careful with that, because then if you get Threshold, it actually shrinks your creature's toughness a little bit more. Yeah, Threshold is very important in this set. Like, working towards it, playing against cards that can eat your graveyard. I mean, this probably won't make the cut, hopefully. Entomb? Is Entomb good and limited? It seems sweet. Like, go fetch up a card, put it in our graveyard, and then zombify it. Sacratog sacks artifacts and cards from your graveyard. There's another Dematerialize. We're getting pretty flooded on 4-drops here. I kind of want to try out Entomb. There's a Werebear in this pack. Werebear's good. And then Sadistic Hypnotist is alright if you have creatures to sack. But it is a 5-mana 2/2, so you could be under pressure and this card could be bad, I imagine. But let's try out Entomb. Ivy Elemental seems strong as well. It's a very splashable card too. This is the exact type of card that highlights what I'm talking about in this set, where you want to get to Threshold, and yes, this card is great, but if you don't have a constant stream of cards to put in your graveyard, it loses a lot of its value. So you really need to draft with this in mind. It's not just like a slam dunk card you put in every set or every deck. How do I feel about Ivy Elemental? It is splashable. Rod and Giant's really the only other pick in the pack for me, so I'll consider it. Caustic Tar is a win condition as well. There's another Crypt Keeper. Immobilizing Ink is a little awkward. It keeps a creature tapped down. Notice it doesn't actually tap it, but you can pay 1 and discard a card to untap the creature, or at least the person who controls that creature can do that. Caustic Tar is probably not great, but it is a win condition for a slower game. I think this was in M15, and I remember it being decent, but it might be a little too expensive. Cabal Shrine. Whenever a player casts a spell, they discard cards equal to the number of cards with the same name. We're getting a lot of green shipped to us this pack. Cabal Inquisitor. Exile 2 cards from your graveyard to have opponent discard a card. Lots of good green going in this pack. And you notice there's just no blue in either direction, right? I guess there was a fair amount of blue in the first pack, but this could fix for Ivy Elemental if that's something I wanted to do. I don't think this card's very good. Exiling cards from my graveyard is not exactly what I want to do. I'll consider the card spell here. Skeletal Scrying seems good as a draw spell. Exile X cards from your graveyard, pay X, and draw X cards and lose X life. Then again, there's another Psionic Gift here, but I like card advantage. Even though, again, this goes against some of our other cards, but it's not like we're actually playing a Threshold deck. This is fine enough on its own without Threshold, and I don't think we have any other cards that care about Threshold here. We want to kind of play a control game. We have a very high curve, though, so we're definitely playing at least 17 lands. This is probably somewhere down here, like exile 2 from your graveyard, draw 2 cards. Um, maybe I want this 3 mana 1/2 so bad, but maybe I want it. There's another Patriarch's Desire. There's also a Sea for Debris here, which can help splash my Ivy Elemental, can get us another card in the graveyard should we need to. What is Pedantic Learning? Whenever a land card is put into your graveyard from your library, you may pay 1 to draw a card from your library. I guess that's like if you get milled. Deluge taps all creatures without flying, so it basically does nothing. It's like a bad fog. Which of these do I want? Kind of want to play the Ivy Elemental. This is probably just better, though. Yeah, I mean, I'll take removal. Alright, now I'll take Bog Wreckage. I'm not in love with this. You sack a creature to put a creature back in your hand. It's like a super expensive attrition. But I'll go and take a Bog Wreckage here. And then pack 3, we're hoping to get a few more flyers, maybe some stuff to round out the early game. I don't know that I'm going to play the Ivy Elemental, but it does seem like it's just going to be bigger than anything else your opponent can play. This also splashes for Ivy Elemental. There's Zombie Assassin here, which is fine. Filthy Cur seems bad. It's a bear that deals damage to you whenever it gets dealt damage. So in between the Zombie Assassin and this Bog Wreckage, I think I'll go with the Assassin this time. Very bad against black decks, but can bail you out of a situation against some of the big bombs in this set. There are some absurd bombs in this set. Sacritog, just not really what we want. I guess I'll take Filthy Cur. Hope not to play it. There's a looter. There's some looters in this set. I would love to get one. There's a 3 mana 2/1 looter, and then there's another 4 mana looter that actually loots 2 cards at a time. And that seems very good. Leaf Dancer is not good against us, so I don't have to hate that. Battle Strain, I guess, whenever a creature blocks. I don't know. None of these cards are great. Coffin Purge is a good sideboard card. It eats a card out of the graveyard at instant speed and also has flashback. Go and take this Reach creature. And look, there's a Demoralize anyway. And we have one more pack. I think we're in an okay position. Like I said, I'd like a couple more beaters, a couple more flyers in like the 3 to 5 area. Seize the Day is like an extra combat card. Yeah. Aven Archer seems pretty solid. Crypt Keeper, Innocent Blood, Morbid Hunger is expensive, but it's actually decent. Deal 3 to a creature or player and you gain 3 life, you flashback it for 9. That seems incredibly expensive, right? But the games go on pretty long, so I'm leaning towards that. Innocent Blood would be better if I had a lot more control in my deck, but I kind of like this Morbid Hunger. 9 is a super expensive flashback cost, but you'll see probably there aren't a lot of decks that blitz you, especially with red being like very bad. Have you guys seen any red cards that are worth taking? Seize the Day is kind of awkward. It only untaps a single creature, and then it gives you an extra combat step, but most of your other creatures will be tapped down, so it's bizarre. Childhood Horror is good. Cephalid Scout Syncopate is strong. I don't know which of these would be better for my deck. This is just another 4-drop, but it's very strong. Syncopate's a counter spell that exiles the countered spell unless they pay X. Ghastly Demise would be good, but it doesn't work against black decks. You have to have a lot of cards in your graveyard to make it good. So it's between probably one of these 3. Acceptable Losses is probably like red's best card. How do I feel about this Childhood Horror? How easily can we get Threshold? This is going to take us off Threshold most of the time we cast it. Kind of like Syncopate and just having another control card rather than another late game card. Ooh, here's that double looter. Draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. Decompose exiles 3 cards from a graveyard. Dematerialize and Peek would both be fine. And then this one prevents blue damage. Definitely taking the double looter here. Maybe I don't play Zombify. And then we'll have to cut some stuff on the top end too. Standstill's a little weird, right? I don't know how good it is in the format, but you play it and then the next time somebody casts a spell, you that spell's opponent draws 3 cards and then this goes away. Psionic Gift is probably what I want. I don't know how good this is. You have to be in a state where you have board pressure, and then your opponent just has nothing and they're forced to play into it. And there's sometimes you play and your opponent just says go, 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 and then nothing happens. Fright Color seems like not quite the card you want. It's like a 1/1 fear creature, but then it gets +2/+2 when you have Threshold. So I'll take Psionic Gift. And I don't want to overestimate how many 1 toughness creatures are in the format, but this seems pretty decent. Plus it turns a creature into a pinger that can start hitting the opponent. There's the other looter. Oh, this pack is nice. So there's Were-Rat, Cephalid Looter, Words of Wisdom, C4 Debris, Morbid Hunger. So I'm between one of these, another 4-drop or a 3-drop. I think the 3-drop fits our curve a little bit better. Were-Rat's nice. And we should have no problem getting Threshold now. And then there's another removal spell here, but I think we're okay with the removal. We have 2 Patriarch's Desires and a Morbid Hunger. Let's go and take the looter. What does this land do? Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. It deals 3 damage to you. Get that out of here, man. What? No. In what world would I want that for mana fixin'? How desperate do you have to be for mana fixin'? So Whispering Shade, Darkwater Egg, which is actually good mana fixin' for our deck. Then Scrivener, which can get instants back from our graveyard. Granted, most of our removal and stuff like that, it can get a repel back, but go ahead and take the Darkwater Egg. I don't think I'm going to end up running that Ivy Elemental. Don't think I need to. I think I'll take Words of Wisdom here over just another flying creature. Maybe I want the Dusk Imp, but Words of Wisdom is sweet. Guarantees I'm going to be, hitting land drops and stuff like that. Maybe I just want this Dusk Imp, but we'll take Words. Another Zombie Assassin could be alright. For the sideboard, at least. I don't think I'd main deck 2 of them. Shadow Blood Egg is kind of whatever. What is Earnest Fellowship? Each creature has protection from its colors. I guess that's good in like mirror matches or something. Yeah, I don't really want to play any of these. Alright, Crypt Keeper is definitely better than Filthy Cur, I think, unless I find myself playing against an opponent who has a bunch of stuff. You can just tell nobody's playing red, because, like, this card wheeled. Filthy Cur seems like a setup. There's another Phantom Whelp. Ooh, Dematerialize came back. Kind of like that. Coffin Purge. I'm not going to play any of the other cards. Demolish is in this set. There's a 6 mana Destroy an Artifact or something like that. I thought Shatter was in this set, but I guess it's Demolish. Which is their go-to artifact destruction card when they want to give you a bad card. Ooh, C4 Debris came back as well. That was the pack that was loaded for us. So, I don't know how Entomb's going to do for us. I don't think we want that at this point. I also don't really know how good our deck is, if I'm being honest. Caustic Tar might be poor. Sure. Mind Burst is another one of those effects where it gets better the more Mind Bursts you have. The second Mind Burst is pretty good. The first one's pretty bad. Alright, now we're going to have to think about this. I would love to hear anybody watching what you think about it. Zombie Cannibal seems like a card I don't want to play unless I know I'm against a deck that really wants to utilize their graveyard, even though most decks do. But 1 mana 1/1 is not even impactful here if the ability is not relevant. Probably want to cut one of these 4-drops. Currently have... And one thing to note here is that these, yeah, they fix for your other color. They might seem a bit worse than just playing like an island or a swamp, but having a way to get an extra card into your graveyard is pretty good. And the games go long enough that, you can afford to sack one of these later in the game, and then it fills up your cards like Skeletal Scrying, or it gives you your Threshold, which, again, we're not too big on Threshold here, but we'll play what we have. Definitely playing at least 17 lands. Probably just 17, though. I don't know that I want to go full on 18. So we need to cut We have 27. We need to cut 4 cards from this deck. Careful Study can probably come out when I have the looters and everything. I think both the looters are great. I don't want to cut those. I kind of like the removal spells. I like all the 4 drops. Maybe Dreamwinder comes out. Can't attack unless defending player controls an island. Then you can sack an island to make a land an island till end of turn. Maybe I'm crazy for cutting that. Zombie Assassin can possibly come out till I know I'm not playing against a black deck, because it matches up so poorly against black decks. Amugaba. Alright, got some decent 2 drops here. Probably cut one of these Phantom Whelps. Card is pretty low impact. And then we need to cut one more card. I like the egg. Gravedigger is probably fine. Do I want to cut this Dreamwinder? I'm not going to be sacking my lands too often. I also have another way to sack lands, which we don't want too many of those effects in our deck, I don't think. Maybe I just cut like the other Phantom Whelp and I go big. Look to play a really long game, use these Crypt Creepers to kind of trade off early. Hopefully get down a flyer and start controlling the board a little bit with these Patriarch's Desires. Could be really bad against green decks, but target player draws 2, then discards 2. Strong. Alright. Let's go and cut the Dreamwinder just for curve consideration, and then we'll play 9 blue, 8 black. So we want 7 and 8, and then add the 2 other lands in. Deal 3 damage for Mana Fixin'. That's so ridiculous. Ivy Elemental does seem sweet, but I don't think we need to go that route. And then we have some okay sideboard options. We have these double Zombie Assassins that we play against like really big fatties or something like that, but we have a couple early game creatures we can put in if we find that we need more interaction early in the game. Then we also have a little bit of Graveyard Hate, and I don't know, Entomb doesn't really do too much for us. Guess it ups the graveyard count by 2 by itself, but I don't know that that's worth a card. If I wanted to do that, I'd play Careful Study, because this actually gets 3 cards in your graveyard. This is a nice way to filter out lands in the late game. I don't know if it's better than any of our other cards, though. Psionic Gift seems like the type of card I could board into rather than play it in the main board. So maybe I'll play Careful Study as a way to... we're going to be playing out most of our lands, though. I don't know. Let's go and try out the Careful Study. And you guys let me know what cards I'm passing that is just absurd, and let me know like what I should be taking and what I should be playing here. I feel like I should probably be playing this. It just matches up very well in this format. 4-3 seems really good. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump in some games. I'll see you all for round 1. Hey guys, it's Timothy here for an Odyssey Draft. I have no idea how good our deck is, but we're going to play it anyway. We're going to go and keep this and probably start off with Careful Study. It is card disadvantage. We're going to be down a card to cast it, but it should fix up our hand nicely, and then we can actually follow up with Skeletal Scrying. My opponent's going down to 6. Frizzle66 is going down to 6. Falchion Griffin, just basically a vanilla 3-power flyer. So let's go and cast this right away. Draw 2, discard 2. Alright, kind of want to keep that in hand, so thinking of just discarding 2 lands here, and then next turn use Skeletal Scrying to kind of make up our losses. So we'll go ahead and pitch these 2. Zombify is probably good in our deck, I think. Maybe I just want to ditch this. Alright, well, red card is awkward. We don't know how good red is in this format, but we can exile these 2 cards from our graveyard to draw 2 cards, but we can do that at instant speed. Oh, I need 1 more land to actually do that, so we don't want to cast Skeletal Scrying quite yet. Alright, there's that Rotting Giant from my opponent. When it attacks or blocks, you sack it unless you get a card in your graveyard, or exile a card from your graveyard. So Skeletal Scry not going to be at its best here, but we're going to probably be at 15 after this turn. I imagine my opponent has a way to get a card in the graveyard, and then hopefully we get to Morbid Hunger, and that can help stave things over, or draw one of our 4 drops. Alright, my opponent could actually sack this now, play another thing, and then have a card for their Rotting Giant, or they just choose not to do it. Alright, pay. X is currently 2. Exile Island Swamp from my graveyard. Exile X cards. There we go. So I lose 2, draw 2. I have 1 card left in my graveyard. There's Amugaba. Okay, so we drew a 6 and 7 drop. That's not what we wanted to see there. So we're not going to be interacting a lot this game, and we might just get beat down. Hopefully my opponent doesn't just sack this thing and play some absurd flyer next turn. If they just wanted to get a card in their graveyard, they could have done that right away. And they might just be playing this as another way to get a card in the graveyard, honestly. Like, if you had 16 black sources and played this as your 17th card, then sure. We are going to get to cast this Morbid Hunger on curve, though, so I'm not too worried, even if this hits me once. My opponent didn't add to the board. Ooh. Well, I don't really want to kill this. And we don't really want to cast it till we have Threshold. Of course, we kind of set ourselves back there with Threshold, but if I play this thing now, we can at least block this. Can't block the Rotting Giant, or it can trade for the Rotting Giant, so... Trading's not bad for me when I have cards like this, but next turn I'll probably Morbid Hunger this Giant unless something else shows up. And then maybe we go down the Caustic Tar plan. I'll block here in a heartbeat. My opponent wants to use a trick, that's fine. Afflict would be probably the worst thing because it gives it -1. These would still these would trade off, and then my opponent actually draws a card from their own Afflict. But right off the bat, you can kind of see how this hurt me a little bit, right? I could have 4 cards in my graveyard right now. 3, technically. And this could be a little bit more potent. It could actually kill this off when I get to Threshold, but right now it actually just pumps it. My plan is just to kind of curve Morbid Hunger into hopefully this Amugaba. Discard a card, return it to its owner's hand. Oh, my opponent's using their guy for mana, and they discarded a Gorilla Titan. 5 mana, 4/4 gets +4/+4 if there are no cards in your graveyard. Come on, this is one of those bombs I was talking about. It's gonna win the game on its own, basically. It's pretty absurd card, but thankfully we have Morbid Hunger to deal with it, and hopefully my opponent doesn't have like a Gravedigger or something. My opponent doesn't have green mana. They also used the Bog Wreckage to make red mana for this. So, it's just absolutely absurd creature if you can't deal with it. 6 power haste is already good on its own. Actually, I don't want to auto yield to that. So right away, I could use either of these to kill it, to be honest. But I'm probably going to use Morbid Hunger just so I use up all my mana for the turn. I could also go Dark Water Egg, crack it right away for 2 mana, so I'm losing a mana there, and then use Patriarch's Desire to kill this. That gets me closer, but I really like the Morbid Hunger here. I can do that play next turn on something else. Well, I guess Patriarch's Desire doesn't kill Rotting Giant, so maybe I just want to use Desire to kill this. And if that's the case, I could crack this egg right away. See if I draw something else for the turn. So these eggs, you use 2 mana and sacrifice them, you get 2 colors and then draw a card. They basically can trip you. Yeah, this will leave me with 5 mana, and I'm fine drawing lands, but Cabal has to go. You just lose to it instantly if you don't deal with it. My opponent did use a land to get that out. Absolutely absurd. So you can see just like the difference between something like this and just the average creature. It's phenomenal. Alright, so sacrifice it, exile up to 2 cards from a single graveyard. I don't know that my opponent's going to be able to deal with a 6/6 flyer here. Also don't know if I want to Morbid Hunger this first and then play Amugaba. I'm going down to 11 here. Maybe I want to get this on board first, and then next turn I can still use Morbid Hunger. Also, Morbid Hunger on this is probably what I want to do. That way he can't exile the Morbid Hunger, and then if I draw 2 more mana, I can actually flash this back. That should put me in a pretty good spot. Opponent with 3 cards in hand. I don't know how they're going to deal with a 6/6 flyer, though. I might actually just block. Alright, Chatter of Squirrel, not going to do it. Note that Overrun is in this set, and Overrun is absurd. Alright, opponent just does not have a way to deal with my 6/6 flyer. Alright, another Patriarch's Desire is pretty strong. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the thing that can eat cards out of my graveyard. Oh, that was dumb. He can actually sack that in response, and then I don't gain the 3 life. So that was probably a misplay. I should have probably just done it on the Rotting Giant and let him eat this. Yeah, that was really bad, actually. The question is, do I attack yet? Probably not. This holds these cards back very, very easily. My opponent's shown that they don't really have an answer to this flyer, so... Alright. Opponent exile an egg and a griffin. That's fine. This does fizzle now because it doesn't have a target. Yeah, I probably should have just done it on Rotting Giant. They could eat Morbid Hunger. Like, I'm in the same position where if I draw mana sources, then I'm in fine position. I don't want to attack with this because I don't want to fall behind here. I don't want to give my opponent infinite time to find an answer either, but next turn we can like Caustic Tar up one of our lands and start getting in that way. Alright, we're just going to play every land we hit, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My opponent didn't flash back their Chatter of the Squirrels. I wonder if they forgot they had it, or if they want to actually hold up mana here. And you see how we're getting to the point of the game where we have so much mana we could actually sack this to get another card in our graveyard if we wanted our Patriarch's Desire to be a little better. Alright, you have something big here. I can also put Patriarch's Desire on this to make it bigger. Alright, opponent does nothing. Target player loses 3 life. We'll start eating away at the opponent's life. Cephalid Scout, not quite what we want at the moment. So I'm kind of leaning towards Dematerialize on this. And then just attack for 6 and Caustic Tar my opponent again. That way they can't hit me back for very much. Chatter of the Squirrel is not an instant. No. Return target permanent. This can also return lands. That's pretty gross. 1, 2, 3, 4. We could technically flash that back next turn as well. Then I'll play the Cephalid Scout. I'll actually attack this turn. We're swinging for 9 a turn. My opponent's actually dead next turn if they can't deal with these 3 things. I'm not sure what even deals with it. Yeah, my opponent's taken just 6 off this between their end step and my next turn. Flame Burst deals X damage to target creature or player with X is 2 plus the number of Flame Bursts in all graveyards. That's good. So killing off my little guy. Alright, replay the giant, and they're actually just dead here. They don't have an answer. Alright. Well, that went decently. My opponent does have some early game stuff, but unfortunately the cards that we could board in that are early game are not fairly strong. I kind of want this Riverwinder. Psionic Gift seems sweet against Kamal. We happen to have an answer against Kamal that time. We've got decent answers against it. We're not dead in the water to it. But my opponent's 3/3 can really get us. We don't have a lot of ways to block a 3-power creature early in the game. But that went well enough. Don't really see a need for the Coffin Purges. I want this Dreamwinder on the draw. Is it better than just like a 3/2 flyer on the draw? It might be. This card seems very low impact on the draw, but it's also a way to push in damage. And this just blocks, basically. Consider the Psionic Gift here. Repel, Dematerialize seems good. Puppeteer seems fine. Cephalid Scout, Careful Study. Careful Study was fine there. And this does kind of deal with Chatter of the Squirrel as well. Sure. Let's try the Psionic Gift out. Just another answer to Kamal is nice. We have quite a few answers to it in our deck, but this is fine. Words of Wisdom should dig us into a couple things here. Again, we could get beat down by that 3-power dude, but we shall see. Alright, so squirreling up right away. So we really just want to hit one of our 2-drops. Gonna take some damage off these squirrels. My opponent, no, they didn't go down to 6. They just played 2 cards. Alright, are they gonna squirrel it up again? Yeah, I'm gonna be under a little bit of pressure here. Not too worried about Druid Lyricist. My opponent probably boarded that in for the Caustic Tar. But if I don't draw the Caustic Tar, it's not too strong, and it also doesn't really deal with this if it kills the creature right away. Alright, Cephalid Looter is a good draw. We'll go in Words of Wisdom on my opponent's end step. Draws me 2 cards. It does draw them a card, though. So, the price of 2 mana, draw 2. Instant speed, nonetheless. Do it on their end step. That's less cards they actually have to use, though. And again, we're trying to just build up a little bit of an early board, stave off enough damage, and then use Morbid Hunger to get us in the game, even though we misplayed with it last time. Alright, opponent had nothing there. It's possible I don't even want to cast this, but I'm going to take this opportunity to do so. Alright. So, we have stuff we can cast now. The question is, what do we want to do? Looter is probably just the best. It uses our mana most efficiently. Again, we're not under a lot of pressure. We'll go down to 15. And then if they play something big, we can repel it or dematerialize it and just keep kind of keeping them off their big things until we get to these other big spells. Let's go ahead and cast the Looter. And if my opponent has an Afflict, it basically just dies. But Looters are good today, and they used to be good too, so Cephalid Rogue is its creature type. Amazing, isn't it? What humans will throw away when they're drowning. I love it. I'm surprised does my opponent know this has Flashback? He didn't do anything last turn. Also, doesn't attack with the Druid Lyricist. There's no way I'm blocking your Lyricist with this Cephalid Looter, right? Oh, there's your Giant. But no land. Despite drawing an extra card. Alright, so if they don't have a land, I probably want to take an opportunity to just throw something useless back on top of their deck, right? So I can repel this Rotting Giant back to the top of their deck, take another hit from, say, the Squirrel, maybe even the Druid Lyricist, turn after we have 5 mana so we can dematerialize another threat. Then after that we get to go Morbid Hunger, Patriarch's Desire, and we get to really start going off. Plus we have our Looter going. So I like the idea of, and this is an instant, so what I'm going to do is actually wait for him to attack with the Rotting Giant. Let him eat a card out of his graveyard if he wants to do that. Granted, this does give him an opportunity to draw a land, but if he eats that Chatter of the Squirrels out of his graveyard just to attack with the Rotting Giant, and then I get rid of it, that's pretty good for me. And if he just passes, he might play something I want to repel anyway. This seems pretty sweet. It's like Griptide. But target, in fact, isn't Griptide the same exact thing? I mean, I could repel this Squirrel too, but I think I'm fine taking my beats for now. Opponent could have Overrun in their deck. Alright, they did draw a land. They're going to play a Dirty Were-Rat. Yeah, we'll go and repel that. And then make sure we loot here as well. Maybe loot first to get a little bit more information about what we're drawing, or what we have. If it's a land, we'll loot that away. Oh, Gravedigger. That lets me throw away this Cephalid Scout pretty easily, and then I can Gravedigger it back. Now we're going to go ahead and repel your Were-Rat because it uses the majority of your mana to replay it on the next turn. Kind of messes up my opponent's next draw as well. Question is, do we want to dematerialize something now? Probably not. I kind of like this turn just taking off to play Darkwater Egg plus Gravedigger. And then next turn we'll Morbid Hunger on your rat while you can't regenerate it. So play Egg, play Gravedigger, pass turn. Gravedigger now blocks these stupid squirrels, which my opponent either completely forgot about or needs that card in their graveyard for something. We will go ahead and get our Cephalid back to our hand, which we might just end up looting away anyway. I'm not going to loot a land away if I don't draw one, because I definitely want to make sure I have 6. And the longer this game goes on, the more mana I draw, the better, because I can start flashing my spells back. So we'll continue passing the turn here. They're drawing a Dirty Were-Rat, which means they probably don't have a 5th land. Hey, look at that. I'm very surprised at this whole squirrel thing. I don't know what's going on. Also note that most of the looters target. Ooh, that's actually decent. So I guess we'll throw away the scout now. There's Amugaba. So this thing can normally regenerate itself, and Morbid Hunger does deal damage, so I want to do that while it can't regenerate. And this uses my turn, but it's alright. No misplays with that now. And if my opponent slams something, I can dematerialize. I can put Psionic Gift on Gravedigger and start shooting off these 1 toughness creatures. If I draw a land, I'll just slam Amugaba. Am I saying that right? The Aven claim it feeds on thunder and rainbows. Whatever. Okay. Yeah, this card is so hard to kill. Alright, Ghastly Demise. Destroy target non-black creature if its toughness is less than or equal to the number of cards in your graveyard. So destroy a creature with 2 toughness or less. Guess we will go ahead and loot. Alright, we can pitch Crypt Keeper here. That's decent from the opponent. It gets to kill our looter, but we still have action going on. Not too worried about anything they can slam on the table. Now they're going to start eating cards out of the graveyard. This is a nice combo with that ape or gorilla or whatever. Eat cards out of your graveyard and then the gorilla becomes gigantic. Go and take our beats. Guess I do have to be careful putting this on the board against that Druid Lyricist. Alright, Cephalid Broker is the double looter. Kind of like the idea of cracking the egg here in case I draw a land, and then I can just slam Amugaba. Alright, we drew a Syncopate. Kind of want to use this mana effectively. I do have Threshold now. I can actually kill this, and I can start attacking. That uses 4 mana. I can hold up Syncopate for 1, or I could just get this Broker down and take another hit from the Rotten Giant. What happens if my opponent plays Kamal, though? Well, they're not going to be able to next turn. I can Syncopate a 6-drop. Let's just get the immediate source of damage off. So it should give it +4, -4, assuming my opponent doesn't have a way to get a card in the graveyard here. And now, question is, do I attack? Do I play Psionic Gift and let my opponent Lyricist it? No, I think I just sit behind the Syncopate. That way, my opponent's probably got some big stuff in hand. If they draw a 5-drop, I can Syncopate for 1. And Syncopate's pretty sweet against a lot of cards in this format because it does exile the card if it gets countered. So I would love to see my opponent just go tap out for a 4-drop or 5-drop. I will block. No, nothing. Okay, so the squirrel has come back. Kind of want to get rid of this so I can start pinging creatures off. But my opponent has green mana up. It just eats my Psionic Gift. I basically trade this for their Druid Lyricist. Another Patriarch's Desire? Is it time to start dematerializing squirrels? What happens if they overrun now? I take 9. It's not so bad. I think I'll go ahead and play the Broker and then keep Syncopate up. Just save myself from some huge play. This card's pretty good when it gets going. Draw 2, discard 2. Filthy Cur. 2 mana 2/2. If it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to you, or you lose that much life. So not a card you really want to send in combat. Alright, there's the island. Let's go ahead and slam Amugaba. That gets me an actual clock in the air. Now I'm looting 2 cards per turn. Like, my opponent goes Mountain Kamal here. It's pretty good. He gets to just kill off, like, my looter right away. Because it has haste and it can tap to deal 3 damage. It's also a 6-power hasty creature. But then I can use Psionic Gift on the Gravedigger to kill it off, so I'm not too worried. And now Amugaba gets to just start destroying my opponent here. And now I'm going to sit behind my Syncopate and just not cast anything. I didn't even loot there. I just didn't feel like I had to. Anything that can resolve can get dematerialized. Anything I don't want to get resolved, I should have enough mana to Syncopate. So I'm in a very good position here. Am I going to see a 6-drop here? Yeah, this card beats so hard. By today's standards, a 7-mana 6/6 flyer is still a card you would play quite often, right? Mortivore has power and toughness, each equal to the number of creature cards in all graveyards. Let's just go and Syncopate that for 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. My opponent can't make random mana, so counter it and exile it, and opponent says, that was my bomb, you got me, nice. Amugaba wins the game. Alright, so our deck is pretty expensive, but you can see there's not a lot of pressure. You're not like Hour of Devastation where every creature's hitting you for 3 on turn 3. So, that went well. I will see you guys for round 2. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's Timothy here. Playing an Odyssey draft. Oh, this hand's probably a mulligan. Skeletal Scrying doesn't actually do anything, and I don't know what I'm up against. My opponent also went down to 6, so I will mull into double black and 4 blue cards. I think I'm going to keep this and hope to just scry an island on top. I think I said round 3 at the end of the last game. Do I want Crypt Keeper? No, I think I actually just want to hit islands, and then I feel fine about this because Careful Study can dig me into more gas. And if we just, draw spells, then we lose the game, but I don't think going down to 5 is correct. Island. Oh, I hate you so much, deck. At any point we draw an island, I think we're in good shape. Alright, Leaf Dancer, 2/2 Forest Walk. Not the most ridiculous thing we can fight. Here, I'm going to go ahead and play Puppeteer, I think. Could hold up Syncopate, but Puppeteer is a tapper, and it can hold off some damage, even though we do need to hit more blue sources to use this plus other stuff, so we may not be tapping things for now. But if I just cast Careful Study, I'm not doing anything else with my turn, and again, my game plan here is to get to Morbid Hunger to kind of hold things off for a while. Ooh, my opponent did not draw a 4th land, so that puts me pretty far ahead here. I probably shouldn't have played that land. I probably should have cast Careful Study first. So now I'm not actually doing anything with my turn. That was pretty bad. I didn't think about that. So I could Careful Study now. Or I could just tap down your Leaf Walker. This is double blue, double black. Draw 2, discard 2. I think I'll wait a turn and just tap my opponent's creature down. You may tap. It's a may ability. Alright, Wild Mongrel is strong. It's going to be hard for me to kill, too. Yes. That's so annoying that I have to say yes. This can untap permanents, too, or untap creatures. Alright, so now... Oh, I'm dumb. I should have just syncopated that. Now I think I cast Careful Study, hoping to hit an island. Ooh. Alright, I want to keep this swamp in hand. Probably get rid of Syncopate since I don't have blue mana for it. And Crypt Creeper. I'm going to play Dusk Imp this turn. Play a land. Maybe I get rid of this flyer. I think I'm going to be using my mana for the most part, so Syncopate seems like we're going to get rid of it. And then Crypt Creeper doesn't seem amazing against Wild Mongrel, even though it does block this thing, but so does Dusk Imp. Probably just get rid of this flyer, I guess. Yeah. Alright. Get down there, Dusky. I could use Morbid Hunger just to make my opponent discard 2 cards. This card is very good. It's basically Noose Constrictor, but it changes its own color, which is relevant because there are a lot of cards that have random protection abilities, and it can get around like the sphere that says prevent 2 damage from a green source. It's a free attack with Wild Mongrel. I will block Leaf Dancer, I think. There are tricks that can hit me here, but make my opponent use it. Less cards they can discard to Wild Mongrel. Refresh, regenerate, draw a card. Well, that's probably the worst thing for me because it means they just actually replace that card. It's more or less a removal spell. Alright, well that one comes in tapped. So I can play Crypt Keeper. I can tap Wild Mongrel. And then next turn I can Morbid Hunger something, possibly even play Amugaba. My opponent stuck on 3 lands is pretty crazy. Seeing how it's now turn 7. Alright, this one, you can sacrifice it when you have Threshold to give +3/+3, but only at sorcery. Oh no, you can do it instant speed. This card's good as well. That's probably what we're going to kill with Morbid Hunger. Let's go and tap down your Mongrel. Yes, I would like to use the ability. In fact, I have to do it on this, otherwise, if I pass the turn and give them the opportunity to untap with this, then a land would be good here, so I can actually keep this tapped up too. But if I let them untap with this, they can actually get around Wild Hunger. So we're going to kill this immediately. And we'll just keep Wild Mongrel tapped down for now. Then next turn we get to slam our bomb. My opponent playing green has reach creatures, but I don't know if it has like straight up a plummet effect or anything. Opponent curving out. This thing gets +2/+2 for each creature blocking it. Okay. Alright. Amugaba coming down, and I get to hold up activation here. So I'm not looking too bad. I'm 1 mana away from being able to cast Morbid Hunger again, even though that's not fantastic here. My opponent is a decent amount away from using Threshold, even though they can pitch a bunch of cards to Wild Mongrel if they really wanted to do that. I'm just hoping they can't answer this. It's an illusion. Puppeteer will go ahead and tap down your elephant. You can attack me with Wild Mongrel. I can't really block it, right? Discard 4 cards. No, they wouldn't even have to do that. They'd have to discard 3, and then they could use their land. I'm just going to take it here. Springing Tiger gets +2/+2 when you have Threshold. We're going to need a couple more cards here. Dematerialize, good draw. Best thing I can bounce. If I tap something down, it's probably actually the best thing to bounce is this, because they can discard enough cards to get to Threshold, and then I take 1,000,000 damage. So I like the idea of dematerializing this. And then next turn I can even Flashback dematerialize, but I have my opponent on a 3-turn clock, and I think I can hold off the damage long enough to deal with them, assuming they can't kill Amugaba. I would love to keep a card in hand so I could potentially just pitch it here, but Plains. Alright, there's another color. Remember, the less cards my opponent has in hand, the better for me. I'm probably just going to dematerialize something next turn. That costs 7, I still get to keep up. My draws worked out pretty nicely, I think, as far as the land to card ratio. I'm at 15. I don't want to just die out of nowhere. Ooh, alright, you got a reach creature. That reach creature does not die to Morbid Hunger. I think I like the idea of dematerializing that, tapping it down. I could force them to take a damage and discard a card here. They would still chump for the most part. That puts me back to 18. If I target this, they either let it die or goes down. What happens if I just attack with this? I don't think there's like a giant growth effect. Well, there is actually. Let's just be safe and send it back to my opponent's hand. 7. Oh, I tapped 6. Alright. Get that out of here. Slam for 6 more. Tap down Elephant, see what my opponent plays. If they replay this, I can tap it down and attack again. There is a fog in this format. In fact, it's a fog with flashback, so you get to fog twice, which would be super annoying for me. My opponent's at 6. They're going to have to play something besides just a reach creature here. They know I have a tapper. Alright, so what happens if I don't block here? My opponent pitches 4 cards. That makes this 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They can hit me for 12 here. But I also like the idea of tapping this down. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If they pitch their entire hand. 9, 10, 11, 12. What if they have a +3 effect? Or I don't know. Let's just say +4. They use some mana. They give this +4. That's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 either way because they'd be down a card in their hand. I think I'm going to let my opponent hit me here. Attack with both of these. I could actually block and tap 2, but this needs to survive. Yeah, let's see what the opponent's got here. I don't want to die, but it's possible I can here. Just me not knowing quite what my opponent could have. Alright, opponent's going to go off with Wild Mongrels. We are actually not going to discard Aramancer. Make this blue. Nice. So weird. Discard Patrol Hound. Discard a card to give it first strike. That's pretty good in combat. Alright. They know I can tap this, though. Discard the Tiger. Alright, and then what's the last card in your hand? Currently, this is 8 damage. 9, 10, 11. Discard 1 card to give it +1 doesn't do it. Discard Shelter. Yeah, so I don't think they can kill me here. That's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, and they can make it 10, 11, 12, put me down to 3. I tap this on end step. Uh-huh. Just show my opponent that I have the win here. Maybe they scoop to it. No. Alright. Amugaba is busted. They have 0 cards in hand. Alright. So, lots of early game creatures. Again, my cards don't really match up well against theirs. I kind of want this Dreamwinder, though, over the 3/2 flyer, because it can trade off for some of their bigger things. I think that's a fine thing to do. Psionic Gift didn't seem good there. Phantom Whelp could be fine, I guess. Probably better in, like, Dusk Imp or something. Crypt Creeper. Ivy Elemental even seems decent, but I don't want to mess up my mana. Zombie Assassins are a consideration here, as they just straight up exile creatures. Although note that this says non-black creature, and my opponent can discard a card to make their Wild Mongrel black. Super annoying, right? So a lot of my cards don't match up well against Wild Mongrel specifically, but they're probably fine against most of the other cards. I'd love to just have my opponent go all in on a Wild Mongrel and then repel it. Careful Study can probably come out here. So we'll bring in a Zombie Assassin. It could get us out of a situation against a huge creature. And we're going to be on the draw. Slow hand, but we do have some interaction, so I'll go ahead and keep an interaction in the form of a creature, Gravedigger to get it back. My opponent's just playing like green-white beatdown. Caustic Tar is probably not great in this matchup either. Should probably bring this out for maybe just like another Zombie Assassin or something. Ooh, no 2-drop from the opponent makes me happy. Repel also makes me happy. Need to hit some removal. Patriarch, the enchantment is actually a very good answer to Wild Mongrel. Alright, so this is a tapper. It's a 1/2, tap target creature. When you have Threshold, you pay double white to tap 2 creatures. That's pretty good. I can attack into it. Which I will, probably, because Gravedigger can get back my creature if it dies. This seems very good. Tappers in general are already decent, right? Let's go ahead and jam. Don't think my opponent's going to want to block here. And if they do, that's okay. We are playing against Shugozu. I highly doubt my opponent blocks. Their card is more valuable than mine. And we shall play us a Phantom Whelp. Card seems bad. Whenever it attacks or blocks, return it to its owner's hand at end of combat. So you really just want to trade off with it. if you can. If you ever get the opportunity to trade it for an opponent's creature, you probably take that trade. Otherwise, you're just wasting mana to replay it. It triggers at end of combat, so it does get to deal combat damage and die and trade normally. Very likely that we end up just playing Repel on whatever my opponent plays here. If they play nothing, that seems unlikely that they just go pass here, but they might be considering whether or not they want to hold up mana for this and have other white cards in their hand. We saw an Auramancer from the opponent, but didn't really see a lot of enchantments. And Assassin could be good here, even though it's a little intensive on your graveyard. But my opponent's green-white, so this hits pretty much everything except Wild Mongrel. It's kind of like a slow 5-mana removal spell that waits a turn. Nothing? Alright, well now if I repel that, that's great, because my opponent didn't draw a land, so they're not going to have a land next turn. I think I'm going to go ahead and just offer them a trade here. They could have that stupid regenerate thing if they don't tap a creature. I imagine they've got that regenerate card. So let's attack, let my opponent block, and then let them use their trick, and then repel them in response, and that puts us in a very favorable position. Because what happens is they block, they go to regenerate, we blow them out, and they don't even get to draw the card from their thing. Go for it. Refresh is what it's called. We repel this. This also means they're not drawing a land next turn. This does go back to my hand, so. But they don't get to cantrip off that, so decent card here. Next turn we get to play Zombie Assassin. I'm just going to keep jamming Crypt Breaker into his thing. Crypt Creeper, not to be confused with the much more powerful Crypt Breaker. Alright, attack. As expected, my opponent does not use his thing, and then next turn we can actually go Gravedigger plus Phantom Whelp if they end up killing one of my creatures. Remember, my opponent didn't have a 4th land there, so they're either on all spells. Satan's Desire. Creature gets +2/+2, and then all creatures have to block it if you have Threshold. Alright, so that does kind of stop me from attacking or forces me to use this. I can play Caustic Tar here. That's not bad, right? Starts clocking my opponent for 3 per turn. I could also attack with Crypt Breaker, let him eat it, and then Zombie Assassin that card, but I kind of like the idea of just getting this Caustic Tar on something. And then I have a clock that's very hard for my opponent to interact with, and they're already very far behind. I can even go Phantom Whelp plus Gravedigger plus Caustic Tar you next turn. And if at any point another card goes to my graveyard, I can just exile his tapper. Or the next big creature they play. Alright, so they got their 4th mana. Blessed Order. Other creatures you control get +0/+1. A 4-mana 1/4. It's probably fine in this format. Ooh, attacking. So do I actually want to block with Crypt Breaker or Crypt Creeper? Exile your refresh? Yeah. I kind of want to do that because this lets me Gravedigger something back. That seemed like a weird block from the opponent. Now I have this up to exile anything that gets in my way. Alright, Darkwater Egg's not bad there, but we're going to hold off on that for a turn. Start Caustic Tarring the opponent. I guess if I take that card out of my graveyard, I can't use this ability, but I think that's fine. I'm not planning on using the ability anyway. Can't really attack into this 1/4. Card seems decent. Darkwater Egg gets me another crack at a card next turn. There's no way I'm blocking anything my opponent plays, even though they're going to start slamming creatures here. Alright, ooh, they got that Gorilla Titan. As long as there are no cards in your graveyard. Solid. Oh, we'll just zombie assassin that. 8-9 for 5? That is absurd. Can you even block and do this on end step? Oh, 8-8, but it gets +1/+0, or +0/+1. So, no, I'd have to throw away a creature. And I ate the card out of their graveyard. That's so funny. No, I'm going to use Darkwater Egg and then just exile that with Zombie Assassin. So let's go and make my opponent lose 3 and then just F6 here. No, I'm not going to block. Dusk Imp, not a terrible draw. Let's go ahead and play this Darkwater Egg. Get rid of my opponent's stupid Gorilla. This Gorilla seems absurd. We'll go and crack this now. I even get to hit my opponent for 2 here. They block Gravedigger. This goes back to my hand. Skeletal Scrying's not bad. Get rid of this immediately. Exile 2 from my graveyard. Put my opponent down to 9, and then they're actually on a 3-turn clock. Basically a 2-turn clock. They have 2 turns to deal with it. I kind of like that. I lose my... Oh no, let's use the mana. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Oh no, I could have played Crypt Creeper there too. Oh well. Yeah, messed that up a little bit. I'm going to attack with both of these. They can block one. They block Gravedigger. This goes back to my hand. But like I said, this puts them at 9. And then I really just need to untap twice with Caustic Tar and it kills them. So I feel fine. I know I'm using a lot of my time here too. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to block. My opponent's not even remotely close to the threshold. They need enchantment removal or land destruction here. Alright, well, they got a Tiger. That's not quite going to do the trick. Go and put you down to 6. I don't think my opponent's going to be able to kill me next turn. Syncopate. Yeah, I'll just hold that up. I'll just hold up 5 for Syncopate and make sure my opponent can't interact. They're not going to kill me next turn. And I'll actually attack with Dusk Imp too. That way, if they do deal with Caustic Tar, they still have to deal with Dusk Imp somehow. My opponent can hit me for 7 next turn, but they're going to get tarred here. They draw an answer, I just Syncopate their answer. I can Syncopate for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and still keep up Caustic Tar. +2/+2, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Still not enough to kill me, so I'll let that resolve. They do not attack with the Tapper, just to keep me off my Dusk Imp. Alright, well, you're dead, and I don't think you can play through a Syncopate. Alright, nice. Caustic Tar doing work. Alright, it is just as good as it was in M15, where it was a fine way to close out a control game. It's hard to interact with. I mean, there's enchantment removal, but you don't have it. I guess there's a lot of land removal, but red's so bad that nobody seems to play it. But I'll see you guys for round 3 here. Hey guys, we're back for round 3 of this Odyssey draft, where our deck is working out a lot better. Ooh, nice hand here. I don't care too much about this in my opening hand, but this is something to work towards, and Looter gets me there, plus I have Syncopate to back us up. I'm wondering, actually, if this is the type of format where you want to be on the draw more often than the play. And I say that because the games don't go very quickly. So, especially in this sort of deck where I'm not trying to get out of the gates and have my opponent dead. I'm just trying to play a control game. Alright, so pass here. I don't imagine there are too many 1-drops you play in this format, since they're all very low impact, but oh no, not against another blue deck. That's not what we wanted. Do get to hold up Syncopate first, though. Blue-white. Alright, discard a card, gains first strike till end of turn. We'll go and syncopate that. Nice clean counter to their pressure on board. This lets me start looting first. We dematerialize, assuming we hit a land by our next turn, and having 2 draws towards it is nice. There's our big 7 drop. We have a lot of expensive cards in our hand. I think we have all 3 of our most expensive cards in our hand. But that does mean land drops are great. Possibly pitch Caustic Tar. Alright, there's that tapper again that we saw in game 2. Hit a land. I'll take it. Just for the sake of doing something, I think I'm going to go ahead and dematerialize this. Just keep my opponent off pressure. I could have also dematerialized a land there, but I don't think that's what I want to do. Could get in 2 here. I think it's more important that I hit land drops, so I think I'm intending to loot away this Caustic Tar in favor of hitting more land drops. Looting this away isn't terrible, but Flashback is 9. That's still expensive. Alright, opponent missing a land drop. Puppeteer. Is that better right now than Caustic Tar? Probably. I mean, it's a card I can play, right? Alright, Gravedigger also just lets me get that back, which is nice. But I like playing Puppeteer here. Oh no, I can't hold up the activation. So, maybe I actually want to loot now. Discard... discard this, and then play Gravedigger and just get it back. Yeah. So, that basically just drew me a card. Mitigate the downside here. And now I actually have a blocker for your 1/2. Didn't hit a land there, but we're up a card. We have Repel to deal with anything. My opponent's missing land drops again, so repelling something to the top of their deck means that they're going to be missing another land drop, assuming they don't have one now. And even if we just rattled off land here, we'd be pretty happy. Looters are so good. We're also 3 towards threshold already. I think this set's great. I know the card quality is very weak, but the gameplay is really awesome. It's a nice little break from Hour of Devastation where when my opponent plays something on turn 2, I'm not immediately dead. Alright, we are not worried about Phantom Whelp right now. Might just repel this. Just hit lands. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and repel this. That means they're going to miss another land drop. And I actually think I want to attack with Gravedigger here. Oh no, they're going to tap Gravedigger, of course. Maybe I play Puppeteer there instead. But if I hit a land, that's nice, because they're just going to replay their tapper guy, and then I'm going to Morbid Hunger it if I hit a land. And then again, if I get Amugaba down, it's pretty nice. Tap out, Nomad Decoy, yep. Phantom Whelp gets a pretty free attack, but then it bounces back to his hand, so he might, yeah, just doesn't even attack with it. Loot, discard a Puppeteer at this point. Even though Puppeteer seems sweet. Alright, let's go ahead and kill your tapper. Now I can attack with Gravedigger. Yeah, he takes this trade 100% of the time. He just doesn't have the lands to be able to attack with this and then replay it. Sure. And next turn, we get to play a big boy. We're also at 7 lands currently. I don't know whether I actually want to loot here, because most of my draws are great. I mean, I guess you just loot anyway, but... Alright, Hallowed Healer. Prevent the next 2 damage that would be dealt to target creature or player this turn. That seems very annoying. Let's go ahead and loot. We can kill that. I have anything to do with the mana in my graveyard? I can dematerialize, but that also costs 7. I think I'm going to get greedy and discard the swamp. Just hope to hit another land, and if I don't, loot away what I draw. But Patriarch's Desire seems like a nice little out. Alright, we hit our stuff anyway. Get in there, Amugaba. Just the flying boat, fish, illusion, rainbow eater. Just the devastator. See if my opponent can deal with it. I know there are some enchantments that can like lock it down, but this actually gets around those nicely. Discard a card to bounce it to my hand. Very mana intensive way of getting around it, but oh, that's exactly what I was talking about. So the enchanted creature can't attack, and it can't block if you have threshold, but at some point we're going to be able to bounce that. I don't think I'm going to loot here either. My opponent's still missing a 4th land drop. I've hit 7. I mean, I guess I have a looter, but still kind of absurd, right? I might want to put Patriarch's Desire on that just to get off the board. It's possible I just want to bounce this to my hand. I don't think I'm going to be looting this turn. I need to keep a card in hand if I want to do that. I can dematerialize your guy. Alright, let's go ahead and kill his guy. And then we'll hold a card in hand. We'll hold the C4 debris. Oh, this costs 4, of course. To bounce this back to my hand. Hopefully my opponent just taps out next turn. They could be holding up a counter spell here. Alright, they're going to prevent damage to them, so there's no point attacking with my Cephalid. Jeez, opponent. Oh no, okay, they've got the 4th land. They haven't taken any damage either. The Caustic Tar would have been amazing here. The one I discarded early in the game. Kurtar's Desire. Yeah, this seems pretty good. 1 mana, creature can't attack. It can still block, but I'm not blocking with my 6/6 anyway. Alright, Dreamwinder. This is the one that can attack only if their opponent has an island, which I have islands. Let's go and bounce this guy to my hand. This does die to Morbid Hunger when I get there. I'm not going to loot here. And I'm fine just drawing lands if that's what I get. Careful Study, draw 2, discard 2. I think I'll just hold that in hand. Tap out for my 6/6, hope my opponent can't answer it. We might just actually loot away Careful Study, and it's curious whether I want to do that now or not. I think I do actually, and I should have done it first because I do want to hit my 9th land. Okay, now I have all chips on the table. My opponent has 5 cards, and they've hit their mana now, so they can start doing things. I can't do anything about anything, and I'm not blocking this thing. They never have to use the ability, which is nice. Which means I also probably want to bring mine in, because it can attack freely into them. Dematerialize on my guy, that's fine. It's respectable. Okay. If I draw a land, I'll probably just Morbid Hunger this right away. If I don't, I'll replay Amugaba. Dusk Imp. Alright, just keep the pressure on for now. My opponent can keep using removal spells on this, but then they're not adding to the board. Gonna loot away Dusk Imp, I think. Maybe not. Dusk Imp just seems like a card I can put on the board here, and it'd be fine. What I don't want to see from my opponent is there's a control magic effect in this set. Persuasion, I believe. 5 mana, take a creature. Or you control enchanted creature. If you use that on that, I'd just basically lose on the spot. I guess that's not like 100% true. I can dematerialize it back to my own hand. I still have dematerialize and Morbid Hunger in my graveyard to flashback here. I need 1 more mana for Morbid Hunger, which I would snap off on this Dreamwinder, and then dematerialize for anything else my opponent could play. This hits permanents too. I could bounce a land, but That doesn't seem like what I want to be doing. And I'm actually not going to loot away Dusk Imp just because it does add to the clock here. Alright, Even Fisher, when it dies you may draw a card. Not bad. That lets my opponent keep attacking with this Dream Winder. Oh, they can't attack because I have a 6/6, of course. Alright, Crypt Creeper. I don't think I need both of these on board, right? Is there anything I want to hit out of my opponent's graveyard? Dematerialize is actually not bad for me to hit, so I like Crypt Creeper here. I like just attacking with Amugaba. I don't think there's anything in this set that costs 1 blue. You definitely chump here to draw a card, I imagine. That's a little tedious, but that card seems good. We will go ahead and play Dusk Imp now. And Crypt Creeper will very likely hit his Dematerialize. If I see a 6th land, I'll hit Dematerialize, and if he attacks, I'll block and hit it. Just to get it out of the graveyard, keep him off that option. He has 6 cards in hand. He's taken no damage. He's been able to kind of keep me off my entire game plan, which is killing him with this flyer. Dematerialize could have actually hit the land that I put Caustic Tar on, which would have been very bad for me. Alright, we got another one of these things. Solid, solid. I have 8 coming in the air at a time, though. So you're going to need a little more than that. He could have a bounce spell here. Attack, probably. Missed a land again? And he's just seriously on... I'm actually going to eat this Dematerialize now. Maybe it seems premature to do that. Rights of Refusal, pretty bad when I don't have other cards in my hand. But I'll keep it in my hand for now. And the question is, do I want to cast my Dematerialize? Oh, why am I not attacking with this flyer? That was bad. I missed 2 points of damage there because I'm dumb. I could Dematerialize his 1 threat on board. I could get rid of this thing. I could bounce a land. I like the idea of casting it just so I'm doing something this turn. My opponent can't syncopate this. I don't know what my opponent could have that really punishes me, so... I guess that uses... Doesn't really matter. Alright. If they just spend their turn replaying that, that's not going to be good enough. My opponent should be at 12 here, which is important because I have... With this, I have 6 damage in the air at a time, so I actually have a 3-turn clock instead of a 2-turn clock. Question is, do I want to keep this in hand? I don't know. I'm probably going to play anything. I think I'll loot this away. Or at the very least, loot and see what I get. This card's good against my Morbid Hunger. If he plays anything that has 2 toughness or more, he can actually prevent 2 of the damage from Morbid Hunger. Yeah, I can't believe I missed that 2 points of damage. Hasty play, though. Opponent's deck seems good, right? This card seems good. I'll have to keep some of these things in mind. Oh, just replay the Wind Rider, or Wind, whatever it's called. Something Winder. Alright, 4 mana here. Yeah, Caustic Tar is probably... I mean, it seems like it'd be good now, but if my opponent has a way to bounce a land that gets rid of the Caustic Tar... Pulsating Illusion. Flying, discard a card, it gets +4/+4 until end of turn, but you can only activate the ability once per turn. Alright, so that stops me from attacking with the Imp. So he can make this a 4/5 by discarding a card. And then he can prevent 2 damage to it. That's pretty strong. go ahead and loot. I will discard lands, even though I have a 9 mana spell I want to cast. Darkwater Egg. Probably better just have the counter spell here, I think. This card's strong, I think. We use our repel already. We did. Pulsating Illusion. Yeah, so what my opponent can do is discard a card and then block this and prevent 2 damage. I don't lose my guy, and he has to discard a card, but he doesn't lose his guy either. I also don't get to attack with Dusk Imp anymore. My opponent's thinking on my end step. I don't know what 1 mana blue spells there are in this set. I'm not sure if there are any. You're discarding a card now. Flashback, prevent the next 4 damage that would be dealt to target creature or player. You're doing that on my end step, on your own end step? Until end of turn. I don't think that works the way they want them to. They might be thinking that, yeah, that's not, ooh, Skeletal Scrying. I'm at 14 cards. This is very good. Let's see. What other removal spells do I have in my deck? Not many. I already used Repel, Dematerialize. I could put Patriarch's Bidden on this. So maybe I just want to dig like maybe 5 cards deep or something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to be able to, I'm very likely to hit a land, so I think I can go 5 cards deep, pay 5 life, exile 5 cards, and just see what I get. If I play that, he's forced to discard a card to keep it around for the turn, but then it dies instantly on his turn. So we'll discard Egg, land, land, Careful Study. And this draws me 4 cards. I mean, I take a ding off of it, but my opponent's going to have to pitch a card to keep this. Alright, we did hit one. We also have Rights of Refusal with a bunch of cards in our hand now. I'm going to play 1 land, I think. I'm going to go ahead and use this now to see if my opponent wants to actually pitch a card. He can stop me from attacking for the turn. It's possible I actually just want to wait a turn to do that, so I can keep Rights of Refusal in hand. So the idea is block here, discard a card to make it a 4/5 and prevent 2 damage to it. And this gets a card out of my opponent's hand. Emboldening can prevent, yeah, it just prevents up to 4 damage, so we'll keep in mind that's in the graveyard. I don't know why my opponent discarded that there. They might have been thinking this wasn't an end of turn effect, but until the end of the next turn. Yep, prevent 2 damage. It's been a long game. And we're just going to pass the turn at that point. It's also possible I could just kill this with Patriarch's Desire. I don't want to play the Cephalid Scout. I want to keep it up in case I need the Rights of Refusal something big. Pulsating Illusion. Well, this game is being dominated by illusions. If he plays the Winder, Avenflock gets +0/+1 until end of turn. I'm going to counter that, discard 1 card. Discard the Swamp here. My opponent only has 2 mana, so they can't pay for 3. They can't play their Winder. So 2 cards in hand, they're going to have to pitch another one. I'm going to stop looting because I do have 10 cards in hand. I have to actually think about decking. I still need to push in 14 points of damage against my opponent who's been able to hold off my entire onslaught here. Alright, now I can go for the kill on this with Morbid Hunger, and then I don't really have to worry about using Patriarch's Desire on this. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And hope my opponent doesn't have a counter spell of their own. Prevent 2 damage to this. Oh, they have Threshold. Prevent the next 4 damage. Wow, that's good. That's real good. Alright, let's go and attack with Amugaba. They can't protect this turn. Wow, yeah. This is where, again, just being ignorant of the things that happen in the format here. Oh, we're going to have to use Patriarch's Desire on that, aren't we? Oh, my opponent just takes 6. Doesn't want to discard one of the cards in their hand. Alright. That is notable. It's possible our opponent just wants to deck us out here. I can start looting them away. But I don't think that's right. 3 in hand. One of them's that stupid Sidewinder or River Winder, whatever it's called. I threw away my trick there. I guess it gained me 3 life, but that's not really what I wanted to be doing. So it wouldn't have mattered. This prevents damage to a player as well. Yeah, this is going to be hard to fight through. That and the Embolden. I guess I'll just put Patriarch's Desire on this, and then I can start attacking free with flyers. Hopefully my opponent doesn't just jam more flyers here. I'll just start jamming all my threats on the board. Try to go wider than my opponent. Okay, they have a double looter of their own. It's probably right for me to kill that, but last card in hand is River Winder, so if I keep them empty-handed, then their looter gets a little bit worse. This is good too, though. They're going to be able to dig for answers, certainly. 8 cards left in hand. Let's see, if I use Patriarch's Desire on this, they get to survive another turn. If I use it on this, they don't get to protect this anymore after this turn. So I think I actually want to kill this. And put my opponent in a position where they're possibly just chumping against Amugaba. So they use this now on probably themselves, unless they want to discard the last card in their hand. And now I think I'm out of removal in my deck. Yeah, so they prevent damage to themselves, which might mean they're not worried about blocking this turn. Or they could block with the Cephalid too, I suppose. Only take 2. We'll go and play this Cephalid Scout, and we'll keep Phantom Whelp in hand, just in case we need to discard it to Amugaba. My opponent's going to be able to look at 4 new cards this turn. So we haven't won yet. Should have probably killed this earlier. Alright, draw 2, discard 2. Pretty nice. And he has flyers to chump for a while. Probably wanted to do this on upkeep while they only had 1 card in hand. It forces them to think about getting rid of their thing. Alright, anything relevant? No. Patrol Hound and an island. Another flyer. Four, 5, 6, 7. They can actually kill Amugaba now. Alright, they're sacking a land to draw a card. Yeah, the thing is they can block, make this a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ugh. Cephalid Broker of my own. Maybe we can mill them out, draw them 3 extra cards per turn. Alright, so if I attack with all 3, they block here, they eat this, They trade here or they block here, eat this. They draw another card. How do I pull up my deck list? Just seeing if I could dig into any more removal spells here. Could also force them to discard a card, replay a Amugaba. I think I want to just try and mill them out at this point, right? 3 cards per turn. This game is crazy. These guys are both target player. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll just keep Phantom up. If I attack with all 4 of them, they can block in such a way that they only take 1 damage. But then they don't get to kill a Amugaba. If they double block with, say, this and pitch a card, then they take 2, 3 and go down to 3. They lose both of these guys, but they get to keep this thing. Doesn't seem great for me. All right. We're on the mill plan now. Oh, they can reverse it on me, though, and start having me draw 2, discard 2. Maybe that's their plan. Oh, they're going to do it on themselves. This is going to be pretty insane if that's how it ends up. They also have this embolden, so they can prevent 4 damage here. Wish we hadn't misplayed with that Morbid Hunger. We could have attacked first and then used Morbid Hunger to kill off the other guy. Then we wouldn't have had to use the Patriarch's Desire to do it. So we wasted a removal spell. Alright, ooh, another Pulsating Illusion. So we're not winning by attacking is what my opponent's saying. Is this target player? No, that's just draw a card. Alright. I think I'm going to start milling my opponent. Make them draw a discard. They discard Island. Okay. Okay. Keep it going back. They can't really use these anymore, I don't think. I think they've caught on to my plan. My master plan. It's dangerous for them to draw cards now. Let's see. I can mill them for 3 down to 6. Oh, they're playing something. Oh, the Dreamwinder. Right. We knew that was in their hand, right? Opponent with 6 lands is pretty crazy, right? I think I want to give them. Is it right to mill or have them loot once and then have them loot twice? So this puts them down to 6 cards. I'm gonna draw 2. They can mill me 4. This is absurd. Oh! Wow. Okay, so we can end it in a draw. Are they gonna mill me too now? Yeah. Oh, I love it. This is awesome. It's crazy. They untap, mill me 2. Oh, I have them dead if they don't have a way to draw a card here. Is this a May? You may draw a card. Of course it's a May. Dematerialize on my guy. Alright. I will trade with Avon Fisher, no doubt. Alright, let's see the attack. Bam! Everything in, right? No? Alright. Do this. do this, and then do it again on my turn. Oh, actually, that puts them down to 2. They're going to do that on me. Discard island. Oh, I have to discard 2. Now I can't use Words of Wisdom, but I get to go draw. Maybe they have a Words of Wisdom of their own. We both have 0 cards. What's happening? I'm just gonna pass, see what they do, and then Cephalid Luterum. Otherwise, they just lose right away. What? That's insane. We both have 0 cards. Oh my god. All right, I'll see y'all for round 2 or or the next round. Oh, never mind. It's sideboard. Duh. What a game. All right, Dreamwinder coming in. They have 2 dematerializes in their deck. Can I pull this up? Oh, it's a white source. All right, I do think I want the zombie assassins. Both of them. This is going to be a slower game, I think. And what we want to cut is probably the Careful Study. I'm loving it, guys. I'm absolutely loving it. Caustic Tar seems bad with them having double of whatchamacallit in their deck. And one more card that's not great against them. This part's probably not that great. I mean, I need protection from flying, surely, but bad part is we both have about 1 minute on the, or about 10 minutes on the clock. Phantom Whelp seems not great. Crypt Creeper seems okay. I like the Crypt Creepers here. And I like all the removal, so Phantom Whelp seems pretty poor. Kudos to my opponent there who managed to do all that through getting mana screwed. I guess we can play the stuff in our hand for the most part. We're on the draw too, so we have lots of chances to hit blue, and worst comes to worst, we can use the Bog Wreckage. We're going to have to play pretty fast. Is my opponent... No. Oh, I'm on the play. My opponent put me on the play. Ah, smart. Now I wish I had just 2 drops for days. This should be very good in the mirror match, as evidenced by my opponent playing one last turn, or last game. Okay, so we're in a little bit of trouble. We don't start hitting our lands. We have 5 4-drops in our hand. And we don't have a lot of time for a game 3, so... Alright, you got your healer down. Ugh. Well, I guess I can attack. Get Dusk Imp down. Alright, missing a land drop there is pretty bad. I imagine we're going to see some flyer of some sort here. Oh, the Tapper. Alright. Pretty good. Blue. Island. Oh, they're doing that right away. That's bizarre. Alright, Swamp's not the worst. I can actually kill off this stupid thing. Or I can kill their Tapper. I don't know which one's actually better. Let's go and attack with both of our creatures. This gets me in 2 damage, or they trade for this. I don't think they want to do that. Blue would be great. I don't want to sack this for Dreamwinder, even though Dreamwinder seems fantastic here. Let's go ahead and kill... Which of these is worse? I think we'll kill off the guy who prevents the damage from my flyer. That way, my opponent is priced into kind of keeping up mana for the flyer, even though that shouldn't be a problem for him, I don't think. Alright, Even Fishers. Annoying. Surely annoying. Blue. Nice. Alright, now what do we want to do? Probably go ahead and go to combat first, or I could dematerialize their flyer. That seems okay. just have him replay it next turn. I think I just want to get more pressure on board before anything else. So let my opponent tap down, say, my Dusk Imp. I assume I'll attack with Crypt Creeper. Oh, okay. They're willing to make this trade, I'm sure. And maybe I do that so I can start bouncing other stuff with whatchamacallit. It also brick walls Dusk Imp, so if it's going to happen eventually, I might as well do it now. As bad as it feels, it's like your whole Feral Prowler situation. And I'll just get the body on board here. Strong body too. Could play Gravedigger there, but not going to do that. And trying to manage my time very carefully, not overthinking anything. All right, they have their double looter. Just rattling off lands would be nice. Tap down Dreamwinder. Okay, play that, attack into them. They're not going to block with their double looter. Or at least I'd be surprised if they did. And 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I want to just go with the broker this turn. That gives me the opportunity to potentially play Gravedigger plus another creature next turn. Say if I exile or end up using this. Ooh, doing that on their own turn is pretty good. I don't want to F6 either, because if they try to kill my Crypt Creeper, I'm going to want to use the ability in response. They discard an Embolden, so they can prevent 4 damage. They have 5 in hand too, so they're looking fine. Alright, another healer is kind of annoying. And the Patrol Hound can gain first strike. Morbid Hunger would be strong here. Our opponent doing that so they can, I presume, F6 through their turn. Go ahead and bounce your stupid first strikey thing. Attack. Put my opponent down to 10 here. Alright, and my opponent's got a very good board against us now. Granted, I can dematerialize one more thing, but I'm going to start looting with our Cephalid Broker to their Cephalid Broker. And opponent being at 10 is pretty nice. Means Morbid Hunger actually just shoots them for 6, but now they've got this thing online. I can loot and discard a creature pretty easily because I have a Gravedigger. I don't think I saw any counter magic. Oh, another Embolden? Jeez. So we know you have the Patrol Hound plus a couple other cards. 3 other cards. My opponent's in a very good position here. I mean, I can exile an Embolden. That's fine. That means they don't need to... Oh, they're going to use all their mana. Wow. Very nice. Discard 1, 2, keep Gravedigger. I took the Caustic Tar out, right? We'll go and cast this now. Patriarch's Desire seems fine, but not this turn. Could hold up Syncopate, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and play out Gravedigger, keep putting more pressure on board. Here we'll get back. It looks like Puppeteer is probably the best thing to start tapping some stuff down. And then we'll go ahead and just pass the turn here. Because they don't have mana to tap, but Puppeteer can untap my own stuff too, which is a consideration. But we're going to start getting jammed in the air here. I don't know if I want to use this. Oh, giving it first strike. Well, yeah, you can pitch a card. I guess that means I can't block it. I could block with Crypt Breaker, but I think I'm just going to... Oh. Well, why give it first strike then? Unless you need... Oh, I see. That gives him Threshold. Alright, this says deals 2 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Got it. Okay. I did not loot there and don't feel like I need to. I don't quite have threshold yet, so 1, 2, 3. Guess I can kill this. Could kill your tapper as well, but this is probably the most annoying thing. It means his creatures can attack into mine pretty safely because he can prevent damage from it. And we're not going to attack, so go ahead. Go for broke. Okay. They didn't. They're F6ing through their turn 2. Dematerialize targeting Cephalid Broker. Alright, I'll go ahead and activate that in response. Might be discard and syncopate. No, I like syncopate better than these two. It does give my opponent a dematerialize to work with. I have one of my own. I'll block Patrol Hound, I think. Then exile your dematerialize. Alright, so block here. See if my opponent wants to go and discard a card. I think I'm okay with them just trading off a creature there. Ooh, Zombie Assassin's nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I get to hold up Puppeteer plus Syncopate. I should have kept up one more blue mana. Go and tap down one of my guys. Oh, they're tapping 2 creatures. Wow, this got really out of hand quick. God, I'm so bad at keeping track of the threshold here. Do not want to auto yield. I might syncopate something for 2. Even flock. Unfortunately, I cannot syncopate that, and it just gives my opponent another flyer on board. This is good. It's real good from the opponent here. They're going to keep up white. I'm going to have to zombie assassin their thing and somehow get a flyer on board. Alright. I think we go and do this now. Tap. Going to make me use the zombie assassin now. Let's go ahead and get rid of your tapper. Exile. No. That's the worst thing to exile. Alright. Exile this. Exile Island Crypt Creeper. Get rid of your tapper. My opponent's got me on a 2-turn clock here, though. If I... No, that doesn't work. Alright. Keep it going. Play an island. Play this thing. One... No. I guess I just want to dematerialize here. Get rid of this flyer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. And this can't block, so I might as well attack. Going to take 4. Oh yeah, now I'm in very bad shape. Shouldn't have attacked with Gravedigger. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get to tap down a flyer. I'm actually just dead. That's fine. Not sure why you use the ability. Yeah, that kills me. Alright, so my opponent just boarded into like super flyer deck, right? Oh god, there's no time for this last match. We want to put in some of our more aggressive stuff, I guess. Psionic Gift's actually good against their stupid tapper guys, although it's terrible against their tapper guys in the game. Caustic Tar can come back in. Filthy Cur. Zombie Cannibal. None of these cards seem great. This seems very good against their flying army, but some of those are blue, so Psionic Gift matches up well against their X1 healer guys if I get it on board first. So one less Zombie Assassin I think is fine here in favor of another 2-drop. No, Assassin's just better. Alright, I don't think we're going to bring any of those in. And Caustic Tar, I'm on the play, so some of these cards get a little bit better. Crypt Creeper's not amazing against my opponent, but all the flyers seem fine. Alright, one less Zombie Assassin for Caustic Tar. And we'll see what happens here. I would indeed like to play first. This is unfortunately a mulligan. No blue mana is pretty bad. Ugh. Alright, Darkwater Egg is fine here. Opponent goes down to 6 as well, though. Scry swamps to top, swamps to top. Oh, opponent went down to 5. Just keep that on top. No, that should have went to bottom. That's bad. Oh, no, 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 don't. Wait, what? Huh? Why do I not have an island in play? I don't think I put my opponent on the play. Somehow ended up skipping my turn. Alright, well, you got a whelp. Go ahead and get a scout down here. He can attack into it, but that bounces his phantom whelp back to his hand. That's annoying. Alright, so now we're kind of priced into using this. Ugh. Cast this thing, attack for 1. They have an Emboldened in their graveyard. Trollhound plus the other guy. Okay. We'll go ahead and dematerialize the one that actually does stuff, and then pass because the damage from this gets prevented. Skeletal Scrying for 2 seems fine. Well, we don't want to do it for 2. This isn't amazing here either, so I'll actually just trade it off. I'm not even going to worry about exiling the Embolden. Oh, God, that's so bad. Why am I so bad at this game? Yes. Pass. Another land would be fine. I could get Zombie Assassin down, but we need to get more cards in our graveyard somehow. This doesn't block particularly well. Ugh, gross. Alright. Skeletal Scrying time, or we just play this thing? Skeletal Scrying for 2? Just play the Crypt Creeper, I guess. Keeper of the Crypt. This card seems very strong. Okay. By double block, he prevents 2 damage to it and gives it first strike, so that doesn't quite work. I kind of like the idea of going... No. Alright. Block here. Say okay, let my opponent do one or the other, and then eat their Embolden. Bounce the wealth back. Island's good. This gives me, well, it actually doesn't trade for this. Zombie Assassin's good to get down here, though. Force him to use it on this. Gets to eat my flyer here. And Zombie Assassin coming down. Still taking damage, though. You have something else, too? No. Okay. Might be close to chump block range now. Not a good place to be in. That's attacking? What do you have in your hand? Gotta have something here. Go Skeletal Scrying for 2 here. Morbid Hunger would just be our straight up best card, I think. Yeah, we'll block here, force you to discard a card to give it first strike, and then Skeletal Scrying for 2. That puts me lethal to this thing. Need an answer. Pay X. Done. Exile 1 and 2. Done. Alright, well, guess we're not technically dead. Because I can tap down his flyer. But I have to chump here. What was that? He cast Embolden to prevent damage from this. Oh no, he discarded a card to give it first strike. Discard another card to give it first strike again. Guitars. Oh, it can't block. Yeah, my opponent wins here. I'm not going to try to time him out. That's crazy. Nice. All right. The opponent won there with 3 seconds on the clock. Oh, man. Maybe I shouldn't have Skeletal Scrying, but what an intense game. All right. That was super fun. We might do one more of those while the league's up, but I enjoyed that quite a bit. I hope you guys did too. And sorry for the excessive misplaying and misunderstanding of the format, but if we had drawn a Morbid Hunger, any of our removal spells there, our opponent would have timed out. And I'm not like trying to time my opponent out, right? But I mean, I was there. It's a little scummy if that's like your whole game plan, which I understand that was my game plan there. But you know, my opponent won. He managed to get the win, and that was actually pretty cool. And I can't believe we milled him out. So He was just a little bit more aggressive than I guess I anticipated, and I didn't have time to really think about my moves in that last game. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. The format is pretty fun, even for a underpowered format compared to what we play nowadays. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. I will see you guys soon. My name's Timothy. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.